Blessings, everyone. Nico, son of Selene, formerly known as Scarlet Moon, here, same channel, just different name. And in this video, I actually wanted to kick off a little mini-series that I decided to make as a follow-up to a video I put out somewhat recently about keeping horoscopes healthy and healthy readings. This is probably going to be a series that it gets to a point where we hit some rocky parts. Okay, these are going to be some sensitive topics of conversation. And I want people to understand that when I am speaking about these topics and speaking to these topics, this is coming from my own observation as somebody who has been reading professionally online since 2013 and somebody who has been practicing his craft since 1998. In a very cliche way, starting my practice at age 13. So it's a very different experience that I have had, especially watching the last 10 years, right, in the wake of 2012 and everybody kind of coming in and clamoring around these areas. And what I've seen kind of happen to the craft, as well as what I've seen happen to the mystical arts, the observation, the treatment. So we're going to talk about 3 areas that have become kind of big hot topics. Every once in a while, they kind of go up and down, but I do feel like we need to just really work through it and process it all together so that there is actually an understanding of what these things actually do and don't do, what they mean and don't mean, and what they serve and what they don't serve, and how you can actually maybe process and digest them when you come across them in a way that actually helps you out. So we're going to be talking about certifications, we're going to be talking about social media, and we're going to be talking about body of work, or work in general, when it comes to looking at how these things are presented, what this actually means, and what this says about maybe the person or persons, and what it doesn't say about the person or persons that you are maybe working with, observing, following, etc. So if you hear children, that's because I'm actually filming this earlier in the day than I normally film my videos, and it's springtime, it's a sunny day, and the neighbors' kids are out playing in the backyard. But, it's a good time to film, and so I'll see what I can do about minimizing the noise. So the first point I want to talk about, the first area I want to talk about is certifications, or the topic of certifications, and what I have kind of observed and what I think probably needs to get reined in. I feel like the idea of certifications was kind of a, trendy fad, especially in the 20-teens, but we're getting out of this now, and we can maybe put this back on the shelf, or maybe just put it outside. Certifications, when it comes to the topic of things like tarot and astrology, and any kind of spiritual practice, has kind of become, or it had kind of become, this idea of an equivalent of an initiation, or some kind of badge of honor, or a credential mark. And to be perfectly honest, it's not. Certifications themselves were not doled out very much, if at all, until about 10 years ago. And we're talking about practices that are way older than that. And one might assume that looking at a certification, would somehow imply a certain measure of proficiency or quality control. But if you actually sat in on any kind of certification program, tarot class, astrology class, energy healing course, kind of going in and stealth your way in there, you might find that, well, guess what? Those certifications basically go to anyone who pays and anyone who decides they want to take that course. It's never a pass or fail. There's no test, there's no training, there's no examination of methods whatsoever. And so in a lot of cases, a certification really just kind of has more to do with, well, did you show up and did you pay the teacher? And if you don't have a certification, well, guess what? You don't need a certification. There are some people that get certifications and then go on to simply take the curriculum that they took on and just continue to teach classes instead of actually work on and hone their craft. And for those who did take certifications seriously, please, I'm not attacking you. It does not mean that you are, somehow bad for being proud of having a certification, okay? If having a certification makes you feel confident and it makes you feel empowered enough to go out and do your work, that's great, but you don't need it. You really don't need a certification in astrology. You don't need a certification in mediumship. You don't need a certification to go out and use your own natural and or developed spiritual gifts proficiently. It's just like the Wizard of Oz giving the Tin Man a heart when he had one all along. It's just at that point, it's extra and it's not necessary. So in all honesty, certifications, you don't need them. And if you have them, that's totally cool. I'm not trying to insult you or make fun of you for getting a certification. You are good with or without it. The most important thing is that you love your work, you develop your work, you're constantly evolving, and you're constantly breaking barriers and membranes and growing in your craft. So honestly, like I said, I hadn't even heard of people getting certified in such things until I actually got to YouTube. And even then, it was approached with a lot of skepticism, but because it became kind of a hot pyramid-y, multi-level marketing opportunity for some less than scrupulous people, it got pretty big there. We don't need them. You don't let that be a gatekeeper to how you go about doing your work. The next area I want to talk about is social media, especially when it comes to the topic of, just spectacle itself and display itself. And does this actually give you any indication of where this person is in their craft, how serious they are about their art and their passion, right? When it comes to this, is this their life? Are they living it? Are they living it well? And what we can actually glean when it comes to character, dedication, and stability of path, practice, and being from a person when it comes to their social media versus when it might actually just be a bit of a show. It's no secret that I actually like to take some pictures every once in a while, right? I have lots of pictures of my crystal grids, of my ceremonies, of candles, shrines, altars. Obviously, I don't mind sharing that. I also like to share funny things that sometimes happen, like when the dead light bulb turned on after a month. No, I didn't change the light bulb because I know it's bad feng shui, but that room actually gets a lot of light and it just never really occurred to me. Plus, I have my little bedstand, so I didn't even think about it. But when it turned back on after a month of just no activity, I thought that was actually pretty cool, and I wanted to share that. What is a person sharing? Is the question we should ask ourselves. What is a person sharing on their social media? Does it look like they're actually showing more dimensions of their craft than maybe what they are known for? One of the best indicators of a person who is really in it, and this is their life, right? This is their way of life, not lifestyle, but a way of life, is the expanse of facets that go into this way of life for them. Is it just memes and astrology stereotypes? Okay, might want to diversify a little bit, might want to, grow out of that box a little bit. Or is it somebody who is actually sharing a multitude of experiences? And, are you actually seeing that, no, this is a person that's really living this versus maybe somebody who's just showing this? Even when it comes to things like crystals and candles, and displays and whatnot, really pay attention to the body of work that is getting displayed on that Instagram or on that YouTube or on that Facebook, right? Do they have a lot that they can talk about, that they have learned, that they have actually explored, that they've gotten down, that they have integrated, right? You go on my YouTube, you can see, okay, there's this deep topics playlist where I go completely full tilt crazy on you. There are tons of videos that have nothing really to do with horoscopes. I had another channel for a time, Scarlet Moon Magic, where I would really go full tilt crazy and show you, you know, all kinds of stuff that I'm up to. I've actually since taken a step away from that channel so I can actually bring some of those topics of discussion over here. And so, you know, stay tuned for that. I've got a few things coming out here. I'm working on, you know, a video on charging oils and whatnot. I think you're all going to really like. But where does this person, how far and expansive is this person's practice? How far and expansive is this person's spiritual life? That's what you want to be looking for. Because you'll find that that can also give you an indication of how much work they can actually do and how serious they are about getting something to be in the highest interest of all concerned when they are working with you, or when they are putting things up online, or when they are actually giving a talk or publishing something. All right, a really good tool for discernment. How much of their stuff is stuff that they've created? How much of their stuff is just showing off? You know, I've got thousands of dollars worth of crystals, guys. But again, I started back in 1998. I'm proud of my collection. I grew it organically. I didn't buy it all at once. I'm not afraid to share those things, but I do make sure to let people know, you know, what is going on with that, how deep this goes for me. And, you know, if you're looking for anybody, I hope that they let you know how deep it goes for them as well. Finally, I want to talk about tech. I want to talk about display. I want to talk about shininess. I want to talk about looks. I want to talk about the aesthetic. It's no secret that when it comes to the realm of social media, that things that look more polished, whether it's a video or a thumbnail, get more hits and look better to even the algorithm and look better and more appealing to wider audiences. However, that is never an indication of quality. You know, there are people out there who have really just gorgeous, professionally done work on very expensive equipment with all kinds of editors and people following them around. And then there are some people out there who don't necessarily have the best equipment. You know, they might be shooting on an old phone. They might actually be, you know, working with a limited internet connection, or they might not necessarily have a very good microphone. And they actually have some really, really powerful insight into even minute, yet at the same time essential matters for you. And so it's important to make sure that you don't allow looks to do everything. I have seen so many people who don't hide behind gloss Photoshop, 60 pounds of makeup or pomade, and they do beautiful work. And yet at the same time, I find that they also get judged for that. They also get torn down for that. It's almost like people wish they would be the lady in the red dress in the Matrix for them. So, ding dong. That was the doorbell, so I guess that was pretty profound. Yes, I will say that ever since I decided to take the aesthetic side of things a bit more seriously, yes, I have been treated a bit better. So I'm not saying that being down to earth means making sure everything is dirty constantly. You don't want to necessarily assume that just because something is taking itself too seriously to give it a bit of love and polish is a good thing either. Sometimes the aesthetic is just there to present a persona, right? Is this person actually showing their true heart? Are they showing exactly who it is and what it is that is moving through them to serve, to present these messages? Sometimes you can find that a person is actually not only not being authentic, but there may actually be more going on there, possibly a bit of an agenda. Sometimes a person may just be very sophisticated when it comes to knowing how to address a certain crowd or how to address a certain conversation, or maybe even elicit a certain reaction by actually manufacturing an emotional or social tone in order to attract that validation, attention, and energy. So you are going to have to be the one to know when a person might actually be doing that versus somebody who has truly an authentic expression of self that they are presenting. Does this person know themselves? Does this person actually have a consistent presence of self if they've been online for a long time, if they have an extensive body of work? Does their growth, their transformation actually, follow what looks like a natural progression? Or does it look like something that has suddenly gone in the realm of trend following or maybe trend pushing? Very important to pay attention to, because whether a person is dressed to the nines or a person is, not just down to earth, but in the dirt, it might say a lot about what this person can provide, such as how available or fluent are they in the realm of the emotional, spiritual, and social to be of the right use and the right work for what they are doing. Are they serving in the highest interest of all concerned, or are they a product of a trend or an agenda? Because it'll help you realize, well, where should I be going? What should I be paying attention to? For you, I can't tell you what to pay attention to. I'm not going to sit here and say that, there's only one purpose, one value, and one meaning of life. That whole idea is a perfect example of a toxic agenda that is serving nobody, right? Pay attention to where sometimes those kinds of things may be at work under the guise of something that may seem very down to earth and very approachable, or very pretty, very shiny, and very sophisticatedly produced. I am not saying that there is anything wrong with being meticulous about your aesthetic. I think that there is absolutely a great deal of beautiful work out there that is cultured and created from an authentic place, from very beautiful artists with themselves, their personal presentation, their work, and their websites, everything that they do. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. However, there are also a lot of people out there that just learned how to get it down to a science and take it away from the act of being an authentic art. And the same thing goes for those that, choose to put on any kind of image. It's important for each of us to be able to discern. Just some thoughts. I know a lot of this seems like common sense, but sometimes common sense needs to be a common conversation. And so I hope you found this helpful, and that, it just, helps you understand a little bit more about how we can better navigate this realm of the spiritual process, especially since the community itself is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and how we can, of course, always be working and serving with that highest interest of all concerned in mind. So once again, my name is NICO, son of Celine, formerly known as Scarlet Moon. If you are ever interested in any of my services, you can follow the links down below to my website, my Patreon, and all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, thank you so much for dropping by. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it.